the difference between coaching and mentoring is a mentor is much more giving you the benefit of their experience and their hindsight, and they might make suggestions, whereas coaching is much more about helping other people to come to those conclusions themselves.
Welcome to the O for Food's Sake podcast, where we unwrap the joys and struggles of working in the food industry so you can thrive in what you do best while sustaining a rewarding and fulfilling career or business. We are your hosts, Lucy Wager, food industry consultant,
and Amy Wilkinson, food industry coach. We've worked in the food industry for the last 20 years, and we're here to share with you the benefit of our hindsight. Our podcast is for you to find new ways to cope with the daily struggles, but mostly to inspire you to work on what's not working to ultimately improve your career or business long term. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of O for Food's Sake. Today we are talking about mentors, advocates and allies, and really how having that sort of combination of people around you can really help you in your career and in your business. Because I think me and Lucy wanted to do this episode because for the last year we have been mentees as well as mentors. So we have got ourselves mentors on the Flourishing Food mentoring scheme, and actually, you sort of think, oh, I'm in my 40s now, do I really need a mentor? All of that. It's been really transformative for both of us. So we kind of wanted to reflect on that journey, because I get a lot of people approaching me as well, like about mentoring, and I always redirect people towards Flourishing in Food because I only have a limited amount of time and energy in my life. I can't mentor. I'd love to mentor the world, but I can't. But there's lots of other people out there that can. But I think it's useful to just talk about it, what the power of having a mentor is, how to get the best out of that mentoring relationship as well. But that there's other ways of getting that support that isn't just necessarily an official mentor kind of relationship. So, yeah. And I just think actually all throughout our careers, we both can identify the people that have helped to guide and support us and to have made a difference in us achieving what we've achieved, don't we?
Definitely. And I think I wanted to do this because it's made such a difference to me having a mentor this year. And I think in the past, I would have been scared to ask for a mentor. Like, it's something that I've always thought, I'd love to explore that, but I'm not quite sure, is it the right time? And when we partnered with Flourishing Food to do the Nourishing Network event last year. Was it last year? It was last year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Year before.
Oh, crikey.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought, I'll be a mentor. But then I thought, actually, I need to have a mentor. Like, I really felt like I need some guidance and a bit of direction. And I said to Amy, I want to make sure that people know that it's not about your age.
No.
And or how long you've been in your role. There's always people that you can learn from. And it's really useful to sort of invest that time in yourself because you can get so much out of it.
Well, it's almost that accountability that you get from having having that time and space to talk about yourself in the same way that you get with coaching. And I guess it's probably worth mentioning the difference because obviously hopefully people listening know that I'm a coach, and it is different. I mean, the qualifications I've got and the professional body I'm with is actually mentoring and coaching counsel. But the difference between coaching and mentoring is a mentor is much more giving you the benefit of their experience and their hindsight, and they might make suggestions, whereas coaching is much more about helping other people to come to those conclusions themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, most coaches use a blend of both. But actually, thinking back to us getting these mentors, I think part of it that was really helpful was being really clear on what we wanted to get out of that mentoring relationship. Because I think sometimes people think, I need a actually, if you stand back and reflect on what is it that you want to get out of that mentor, because also the mentor needs to go into it with their eyes open as well and feel like they're equipped to help you with those things, because a mentor is also getting something out of that relationship as well. And partly it feels like that giving back feels great, but actually you do get more than that back. It's the reverse mentoring that goes on as well. So when you thought I need to get a mentor, were you clear on kind of what it was that you wanted from that?
I don't think I was absolutely clear, to be honest. I didn't know what I needed. I started it at the end of last year, so about nearly exactly a year, to be honest, from when we're talking now. And I knew I wanted to be in a better headspace than I was at that point. And I needed someone who was more experienced, who understood running a business in the food industry, knew me a little bit. I felt like they needed to know like who I was a little bit, and could help me shape what I was doing and where I was going and what was important to me in my business. So that was kind of what I had in my mind. So I had this goal that I wanted to feel in a better place than I was, but I didn't know exactly what that meant. And I was quite nervous. I mean, I've got the best mentor in the world. I'm just going to say that.
I don't know. We might argue. I might say the same about mine, but go.
So we've both checked that our mentors are happy for us to mention them. Yeah. So my mentor is Charles Banks. And when I was matched with him, like I felt like I'd won the mentor lottery, because he does know me. I mean, he knows me better now, but we did know each other. He sort of knew my journey from when I was a product developer at Sainsbury's all through podology. So I'd sort of seen my whole journey, which was really important to me. And he obviously has a very successful business within the food industry. So I was really excited, because I thought if anybody can sort of help me untangle what is going on and what I want to do, it's Charles.
Yeah.
But I was quite nervous because I didn't sort of have... Go on, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, like, what do you feel like over the last year? What has that, like, how has it worked? Like, let's get like properly into the logistics of like how it works and stuff like that, because I think that's useful for people to listen to.
Because I was quite nervous because I didn't know what to expect, and I sort of went on to the first. So it's all, we've done it all online, and I think it helped me because Charles is like quite experienced. He's mentored people before, and he had an idea of what we could do. And so he was quite structured, which was great for me, because I sort of went in sort of knowing what I wanted to achieve, but not really knowing how.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like sometimes we start our sessions now and I just sort of download. So I just sort of start talking and download all this information, and then we sort of untangle it together. And he's really helped me sort of identify that I needed to sort of rebrand my position. So I will have rebranded by now. So I've rebranded as Lucy Wager, because I kind of realized that it's me. I like doing stuff. I like being the person that my clients have that connection with. And I don't want to stop that. And sort of helped me talk through all those things. And I think a lot of it as well is about like giving yourself that time. So having that Charles meeting in my diary is like time for me to sort of dedicate to thinking about what I'm going to do in my business, and having someone that's really experienced.
Well, it's reflection, isn't it? It's time to reflect on your personal development and having that structure there. So like you say, you feel like you just go in and have a download. But like with Flourishing Food, they have a mentor's guide on, it uses the GROW model, which is one of the classic coaching models, to just help give you that little bit of structured time to think about what's going on for you in your personal development. And I think if you don't have a mentor, you lose that accountability to somebody else. But having said that, you can, if you're struggling to get a mentor, there's other ways, I think we almost have like everyday mentors, don't we? We have those little micro relationships, and I feel like I'm going all over the place. Who knew? Because we never do that on a podcast. But I think that's recognizing that there's a real place for that formal mentoring. And there's also a place for just having the support of your peers around you and having allies. So we've talked about 3 different roles. You've got the mentor that's like that traditional person that's giving you the growth and advice and benefit of their experience. Then you've got kind of allies and work bestie. This is me and you, isn't it? Like we unofficially mentor each other all the time with that person to bounce stuff off each other. And then you've got advocates or sponsors who are the ones that are the people that recommend you to, they're in a room, you're nowhere near it, but they're like, oh, have you seen what Lucy's done? Or have you seen what Amy's done? So actually,
or the people that tag you on LinkedIn posts when they see something that they think, oh, that would be interesting for Amy or Lucy.
So they're big advocates of you as an individual, but they're not necessarily in that official mentoring role. But it sounds like the journey you've been on having that time and that structure and having somebody with that a little bit more experience has just been really, really helpful.
Yeah, it's been really, really valuable to me because I think I've spent a lot of time in that advocate and allies space.
Yeah.
And I was 4 years into my consultancy business journey, and I was sort of in a like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Where do I go now? And I just needed that clarification of what I was doing was the right thing to do, because I love talking things through, and I needed that. And so it has been incredible.
And I think, like, I'll talk about mine in a minute, but I'm thinking about people that are in, we're talking about it as business owners, but also if you're employed in a corporate position or in a startup or whatever.
It's exactly the same.
It's exactly the same. The things that you go to them with might be different, but it's actually, I've got this really difficult conversation or this difficult colleague or, something that I'm finding. It's not even just about what you're finding difficult. It's like I'm struggling to identify what my strengths are. Having that person that's just got a bit more experience in you, and that doesn't need to be 20 years more experience or whatever. It can just be that they're a couple of years ahead of you in the journey. And I know, like, I'm 4 years in now in my business. I would not be where I am if I hadn't gone out and got support from various kinds of mentors, like a marketing mentor or a coaching mentor. All of that has been really helpful. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick breather here to hear from our fantastic sponsors. They help keep the podcast going, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ensuring food safety and quality is crucial. That's why businesses trust Microsearch Laboratories, part of the IFP Labs Group. UCAS-accredited Microsearch offers microbiological, nutritional and allergen testing for food, drink and water, delivering fast results and expert support. With over 30 years of experience, trusted by leading manufacturers and retailers, and a commitment to sustainability, Microsearch is your partner in product safety. Visit micro-search.co.uk to learn more.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's dive right back in. My mentor is Debbie Davies. So I know all of my category and marketing friends probably know who she is. So I'm going to get it wrong, but she has a category management consultancy and market research. We used to use her in my old job and I didn't know her, but people used to talk about Debbie from Contigo. And I was like, oh, I've got Debbie from Contigo as my mentor. And so it's similar but different to you in that she has a consultancy business. It's a solo business, a bit like mine is, but she has associates that do work for her. So it was just absolutely perfect again for me, because I met her just before I rebranded as Fearless Foodies. And I was like, at that, I want to expand, but I don't know how to do it or where to start. And she really helped me feel brave enough to take on the external coaches that I've taken on, and like help me think about how I find the right people and how I nurture those relationships and all of that sort of stuff, and how I scale my business, but not to my own detriment. She's 15 years ahead of me in the journey and in age as well, has got a grown-up daughter. Like, she's been exactly where I am.
Yeah, it really helps, doesn't it? And I think it is that piece of sort of giving you permission to be brave and giving you the courage to do it. I think there's definitely something in that.
Yeah, and being balanced in it. So we have a lot of discussions about, and she lifts me up. Like, I messaged her about mentioning her on the podcast, and she just something that she said in the message, and it was just like, actually, sometimes you can't see that stuff in yourself, but to hear it from somebody else is really, really helpful. And somebody that you respect. Yeah.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? It's hearing it from someone else that you respect, that's been there, that's achieved what you're hoping to achieve. That gives you the drive.
Yeah. Well, I remember when Charles came on the podcast and he called us disruptors in the food industry. Yeah. We were like, oh my God, he said that about us. It's that, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's that.
Yeah. It's the validation. Sometimes you need a bit of validation.
Well, me and you do, for sure. So should we talk a little bit about how to have a good mentoring meeting, because that's one of the things when we were planning this episode, you were talking about like that kind of fear of the unknown of going into what's it going to be like if you do have a mentoring meeting. So you talked about that kind of having a bit of a download. I think that's important. And I think there's something about over time. So we've both been with and some mentoring relationships might only actually last 2 or 3 sessions and some last longer, and both is fine. Like I think there's something in having a really open and honest conversation right at the start of the mentoring journey of like, what is it that you want to get out of it? And also it's okay if at any point either of us say this isn't working for us anymore. Let's just get that out in the open at the start, because I've had some mentees before where it's fizzled out quite quickly and like it can feel a bit awkward, but it doesn't need to feel awkward. It's just like, you've got what you needed. And you don't need me anymore. And that's absolutely fine. So being clear on that and having like clearly who like almost like what your roles are right at the start in it, you know, but is it okay if I do this? You know, is it okay if I WhatsApp you? Or do you only want to, you know, all of that stuff that you would do in a work environment, I think is important to have that level of professionalism, because it actually helps you relax more because you're clear on what is okay and what isn't okay. So having that kind of download check-in thing, but keeping track of what the focus is, you know, what are we trying to get to? You know, what do you want to achieve by the end of this call kind of thing can be really helpful conversation to have at the start. And making sure that you have a bit of a wrap up at the end, because it's great having an hour of focusing on yourself and thinking, you know, the mentee thinking about what they need and what they're going to do. But actually, if you don't, it's just the same as we can have some lovely meetings. And if nobody takes accountability or notes and says who's going to do what at the end, nothing happens. So you've got to still do that in this situation. Like, okay, what will you have done by the next time we meet?
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because it can some of those things that you need to drive yourself forward, you need that accountability to actually do them, because they can be the things that actually go to the bottom of your list because you've got other things that are more pressing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's nothing worse than like going, oh, I'm just going to look back at my notes and you're like, oh God, I said I was going to do that and I haven't done that. Yeah. But that's the point of it, because we need other humans to keep us accountable. So yeah, making sure that you're maintaining momentum. I do think, like I say this with coaching as well, like you get the most if you maintain momentum. When people want to put things 2 months apart or whatever, I just don't think you get the same momentum. So having like a regular slot in which you are going to do things can be really, really helpful. But also, you know, checking in on how the relationship is going. Are you still, me and Debbie, every single time we both still check with each other. Do you still want to keep meeting?
Yeah,
you know, are you still both like, because you both need to feel like you're getting something out of it? Because I'm like, this isn't all about me. Are you still getting something out of this? And she's like, yep, I am. So it's fine. Because I think for anybody listening that's like, I think there's value in being both, because I think actually being a mentor gives you a bit of a confidence boost, because it makes you realise that you do know more than you're giving yourself credit. But you also learn so much from the other person, because we just, as humans, like you might be sitting there thinking, yeah, I feel exactly the same, or whatever it is. And we had Amy Burke on, didn't we, to talk about reverse mentoring. Like you get so much from it either way, really. So I think let's come back to just thinking about those 3 kind of types of support that you need that we were talking about. So a lot of what we've talked about today has been the traditional mentor. So somebody that's more experienced than you and they're giving you advice and the benefit of their experience. And there is so much value in that. And I think if you're listening, I know that the Flourishing Food team, they do 2 intakes a year. Go and have a look on their website, meet business women. I'm trying to think who else does it. Obviously reverse mentoring with IGD. So there's lots of mentoring schemes out there. And also another thing, I've just thought of a sales opportunity, Lucy. Donna, who works in my team, she also goes in and helps support putting internal mentoring schemes into businesses.
Yeah, because I was going to say that probably if you're in a big business, there might be mentoring schemes within the business as well.
Donna did it with Oxford University for 3 years. So she's got a lot of experience in that, because it isn't just as easy as going, oh, well, you 2 pair up. There's actually quite a lot of skills involved in being a mentor and being successful in that. how you match people and also the behaviours that need to happen to get the best out of that relationship. So hit me up if you need some help with that. So that's the traditional mentors, but then there's the sponsors and the advocates. So who are the people that talk about you when you're not in the room and say good things about you? And if you don't feel like you've got those people in your network, who could those people be? And it can just be as easy as having a conversation to say with those, somebody that you get on well with that is influential, saying to them, actually, if you could recommend me to some other people, that would be amazing. Or, you have to say what it is that you need. Like if there is an opportunity for a cross-functional something or other, I'd love to be involved. They've got it in their head. They think well of you and they say it when you're not in the room. I
was just going to say on this one, if you're thinking, well, I don't think this doesn't fit for me, then it might be that you need to make yourself more visible as well. And so and get people noticing you and talking about you and being the person that they advocate for. Yeah, because I think a lot of the time we don't realise that those people would do it if we just asked. When I set up my business, I didn't think I had a network, and we know that's not true. And actually just being brave enough, like to do things like get on the phone to you. A month later we'd got a podcast started. Well, and it's like, I was just going to say the same thing. It's like when I finished podology and I did that video, that rallied everybody around. So you sometimes have to put yourself out there to let people know. Yeah. And there will be people that you've worked with in the past that think really highly of you. So you've just got to, sometimes you have to put yourself out there. But also really, really important, we always talking about when we do training, we're talking about your inner circle and those people that are the people that you work besties, the people that you can get on the phone and go, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened in this meeting, or how would you handle this? Things that, me and you or WhatsApp and be like, you won't believe what X client has done or whatever. Like having those people that have got your back is so important in your career progression, and building that network and being intentional about it can really help boost you. So I hope you found that useful. And come and let us know, has that made you think more about getting a mentor or becoming a mentor? And don't forget, we've also got Cam coming on to talk about Flourishing Food. Because there's only 2 cohorts a year, I remember to tell people when it's coming up, because a lot of people think oh, I'd love to get a mentor, but I don't know how to go about it. So that is one of the ways, but there's lots of other ways of doing it as well. So hopefully we've inspired you to look into it a little bit more. And we will see you next time. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it, rate and review us. It really helps us reach more food industry pros like you. For more resources, head over to our website, overfoodsake.co.uk, and join our mailing list to stay in touch. And if you'd like to connect with us, come say hello on LinkedIn. We're both there, Lucy Wager and Amy Wilkinson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. See you next time.